This is a 2021 BMW 330e. That's right, not an I, a 330e. And the E means it's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. The E is for electrified. Now this raises two questions. The first, is it any good? The second is, if it is any good, is it the 3 Series you should buy? Let's find out. You're looking at the 7th generation BMW 3 Series. You go all the way back in time to the legendary E30. We fast forward and now we're looking at internal code name G20. No relationship to the Infiniti G20, that is just a coincidence. The G20 3 Series first showed up in 2019. Shortly after that, the 330e showed up. It is the second hybrid 3 Series. However, this one is a plug-in hybrid. What does that mean? That means this car is capable of going 22 miles on pure electric power. And if you think about your daily commute, that might mean you get to experience quite a bit of gasoline-free driving. The weird thing about the 330e is it's sort of in a class all by itself. Yes, Volvo makes the S60 Recharge. It's got the same size battery, can go the same amount of miles. However, that is a much more powerful car and it's almost in a different segment. Am I saying that the 330e can't compete with a regular Audi A4 or a Mercedes-Benz C-Class? Absolutely not. I'm just saying that there's really nothing else like it. So who is the 330e for? Well, it's for the customer that wants to somewhat lower their carbon footprint, but for whatever reason, they're not ready to pull the trigger and go full electric. Let's talk design. If a vehicle has been around for 7 generations, it's essentially an icon. So, a designer's principal job is making sure it looks like what it is. What do I mean by that? Does the new 911 look like a 911? Yes? Good job. Does this look like a BMW 3 Series? Yes, it does. Nothing really to critique up front. I think it's a handsome vehicle, especially in light of the 900-pound pig in the room, what they did to the poor 440i M3 and the M4 with that giant bizarro kidney grille. This is restrained, this is classic, this is beautiful. So I got nothing bad to say up front except for, can we ban front license plates already? They don't do anybody any good and they look awful. Coming down the side, BMW, they always have wonderful wheels. The car sits great on these wheels. You know, it's really nice. And then you get to this. Why are we doing this? Somebody went to school, they got a master's degree in car design and they spent time, they love this thing, in clay, they shaped it, surfacing, line work, proportion, all that. Then they just hack out a hole right here. It's awful. Put this where the gas tank should be. Do anything. Put it under the license plate. Hide it. Put it in the taillight. Don't do this. It's an awful trend that needs to stop. Again, for BMW design these days, this is quite restrained. It's actually a lovely car. Look at this C-pillar. It's great. Yeah, they had to put a little plastic doohickey here, but they avoided the pitfall of what Cadillac went through, where they wanted the sloping roof line and they just got lines going everywhere. This is great. Out back, it's just classic. It screams BMW, it screams 3 Series. So really, I think they did a wonderful job on the 330e, except for that. I'm sitting inside the 2021 BMW 330e, checking out the interior design, and I gotta say, I'm mostly impressed. It's rather nice. Even like these lights up here, they're very deco, they're very cool. I love the bright work, I love all the odd shapes, the grills are strong, very, very cool looking, line work here, all kinds of curves and stuff. But some of the material choices are kind of a head scratcher. Like for instance, it is soft, but if I told you what this car cost, no, you don't want this or this. This should be leather covered or something else. You know, again, it's fine, but at this price point, I don't know. Leather's pretty good. Seats are nice and comfy. There's some leather here, some stuff here. It's all right. It's a little tight, especially down by your legs. There's a big cup holder in the door pocket that's pushing against my left calf. The transmission tunnel, it's really wide and it's pushing on my right calf. So, you know, some people say, oh, it's sporty, but honestly, it's rather tight. Same story with the back seat. Normal for the segment, but this segment isn't known for having great back seats. This one's a little too small. As far as the trunk goes, it's just a trunk, meaning Most of the time you'll say, wow, it's way too big because you got groceries rolling all over the place. But that one time when you got to put something really big in there, it just won't fit. And you'll say to yourself, like everybody else does, I need an SUV. As far as the nav screen goes, it's neither large nor small. You know, it's kind of medium, 10.3 inches, but it works. It's the latest generation of BMW's iDrive, and you know, they're just getting better and better all the time. BMW's been doing this for longer than practically anybody else, and it just works. And now it's a touchscreen, but even if you use the iDrive knob, it's just easy to use. Look at the quality of these graphics. You know, it's intuitive, it's easy, and it's very, very legible. So, big fan of the iDrive. Performance. Under the 330e's hood sits a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine that makes 181 horsepower, which is positively wimpy. However, don't forget, there's a second motor in there, and it's an electric one. And combined, the two create 288 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. That's more like it. All that power is routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it's powering just the rear wheels. Now, interestingly, this is more powerful than the 330i. However, BMW says that both of them hit 60 miles an hour in 5.6 seconds. Why is that? This one's heavier. When you add a battery and an electric motor, you add weight. The really interesting thing about the 330e's performance, however, is its efficiency. I said earlier that it can go 22 miles of pure electric driving, and when you combine that with the gasoline engine, you are looking at 75 mpge. That's miles per gallon equivalent, and that's how we rate electrified and electric vehicles. 75 mpge is really good for anything that has a gas motor. Let me give you an example. The Porsche Taycan, which admittedly is a pure electric vehicle, but it's a high performance one, but still, it never burns gasoline, and its mpge is only 68 miles. So the 330e is quite efficient. As far as safety goes, the BMW 3 Series is safe. It gets a 5-star crash rating, and the IIHS calls it a top safety pick for 2021. Now, it does come with some automatic safety features, such as forward collision alert and automatic high beams, but BMW has long made their money by selling you things a la carte. So, if you want stuff like adaptive cruise control or blind spot monitoring, you're gonna have to pay for it. How much? Well, if you can find yourself a BMW 330e with absolutely no options whatsoever, it's in the $46,000 neighborhood. As it sits, the car next to me is just under 58 grand. And it's kind of normal for cars in this segment to have that many options. Now, if we look at the cars that the 330e kind of competes against, the Volvo S60 Recharge, that is nearly $52,000 to start, and a Tesla Model 3 is just over 50 grand. So if you look at it that way, the 330e is pretty competitive. If there's one thing I want you to take away about the 2021 BMW 330e, it's that the fact it can go 22 miles without using any gasoline, that's very cool. Think about your daily commute. 2, 3, 4, 10 miles to the office and back, and you're not using any gas at all. But if then you suddenly want to go on a road trip or whatever, it becomes a normal car. You just fill it up with gas like you would anything else. BMW is about to electrify its entire lineup, right? By the time you watch this video, I will have driven the new i4, and it's a 4-door sedan. It's about the same size as this. It just doesn't have a gasoline engine. And the entire industry is doing the same thing, eventually. But until then, as a stopgap, as a way to get us from here to there, the 330e is pretty compelling. To check out our latest vehicle rankings, go to motortrend.com/cars.